My brother's been dead for 6 years, but last night I heard his voice in a song that doesn't exist. I was alone in my apartment. Lights off, headphones on, screen glowing in the dark. It was almost 3 a.m., and I was deep into one of those late-night rabbit holes, the kind that only exist when your brain is too tired to think clearly, but too wired to sleep. I ended up on a dead experimental music forum I hadn't visited in years. Most of the threads were old and inactive, broken links, crashed servers. But one thread caught my eye. Songs that shouldn't exist. The title alone made my skin crawl. Most of it was what you'd expect. AI-generated glitches, reversed children's songs, static-filled files with cryptic names. But one post had no replies, no likes, just a broken thumbnail and a link labeled Devotion with no description, no context. Something about it felt off, and that's exactly why I clicked. At first nothing, just silence. Then a low hum like wind echoing through a concrete tunnel, uneven, like it didn't know what note to settle on. And then I heard it. Eli! My heart stopped. I ripped off my headphones. That voice, I knew that voice. It was Dean. I sat there for a solid minute, breathing shallow, frozen in place. I hadn't heard his voice in over 6 years, not since the crash. It was impossible. I put the headphones back on slowly, rewound the file, played it again. Eli, do you remember the forest? A pause. Near the bridge? The words were slow, strained, like they were being spoken through grit teeth or from somewhere very far away. And I froze. That bridge wasn't public knowledge. The official report said Dean's car was found near a highway exit, which was technically true. But only I knew he'd driven off near the old bridge that cut through the woods behind our town. It was a shortcut we'd taken 1,000 times. No one else knew. And now here it was in a sound file from a random forum. I opened the file details. Nothing. No artist. No creation date. The metadata was wiped clean. But the waveform there was a spike. Right at the end. I skipped ahead. More whispering. Come find me, Dean said. Then static. Followed by something worse, screaming, muffled, wet, like someone screaming underwater. Then nothing. I sat in silence for hours. My apartment felt smaller. Walls closer. I don't even remember falling asleep. I just remember waking up to the light creeping through the blinds and one thought pressing against. I have to go to the bridge. It made no sense, but I packed a bag, got in the car, drove 6 hours back to the town I'd sworn I'd never return to. The forest was still there, the bridge too, rusted, cracked, overgrown with vines. But it was real. I stood there for a long time just staring. Then I heard it again, faint. So quiet I wasn't sure if it was real. Dean's voice, calling my name. I followed it into the woods. The deeper I went, the colder it got, and quieter. No birds, no wind. Just my footsteps and that voice, calling softly, echoing between the trees. That's when I saw it, half buried in dirt and leaves, an old cassette player. I picked it up. It was on, playing, but there was no tape inside. Still, I could hear Dean. You shouldn't have come, he whispered. I dropped it. It hit the ground with a soft thud, still whispering. I kept walking. Eventually, the trees opened up, and I saw something that shouldn't have been there. A cabin. It wasn't on any map, wasn't part of any old trail. It looked abandoned, but not old. The windows were black. The wood was wet. It felt like the whole thing was holding its breath. I don't know why I went in, I just did. The door creaked open on its own. Inside, it was pitch dark, smelled like rot and damp wood. I reached for my phone flashlight, but it didn't turn on. Still, I stepped forward, and then I heard a voice. Not Dean's, mine, screaming. Then Dean's again. That's you, later. Something moved behind me. I turned, nothing. But now the cabin door was shut. I tried it, locked. My heart started pounding. I banged on the door, yelled, nothing. Then from deeper inside the cabin, I heard music. A slow, haunting melody. It sounded familiar, like a lullaby Mom used to hum when we were kids. But underneath it, layered into the sound, was breathing, strained, like someone gasping between sobs. I stepped toward the sound. Each step creaked like the house was warning me. I reached a door at the end of the hall, pushed it open. There was a room, candle-lit, walls covered in photographs, blurry shots of me, as a kid, a teen, even one from last week, taken through my apartment window. In the center was a reel-to-reel recorder. It was running. I moved closer. The tape spun, and Dean's voice filled the room. "I didn't crash," he said. "I was taken." Then a long silence. "I'm still here, Eli, but it's not really me anymore." I stared at the machine. Then something shifted in the shadows, and I ran. I didn't stop until I was out of the forest. My lungs were on fire, my legs numb. But I made it back to the car, drove without thinking, back to the highway, back to my apartment. I didn't check the forum again, not until tonight. The original post was gone. In its place was a new one, Morning Brother Wav, posted by a new account. My name scrambled in the username. I clicked. It was me. My voice, my breathing, my panic. Recorded, archived. And at the end, Dean again. "You came for me," he whispered. "Now it's my turn." Then one last sound. My door unlocking, from the inside. I turned. Nothing there. But now, when I play the file, I'm not just hearing it, I feel it. The breath on my neck. The cold hands just out of reach. And tonight, there's a new file on my computer. Reunion Dwav! It wasn't there before, and I didn't download it. But it's playing now, by itself, and Dean's voice is closer than ever.